We have just arrived here in New Hampshire, and you really couldn't ask for a more perfect fall day. I mean, look at the colors out there. This is the epitome of fall. The weather is nice and cool. Not too cold, though. Just perfect.
It looks like a Bob Ross painting.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, I'm going to give an answer.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, that's too hard.
Just one.
No, that's too hard. I can't pick just one. Because my top three...
I'm not asking for top three.
I know, but I have to give my top three. Would be teleportation, telekinesis, be able to move stuff with my mind, and super speed. But if I couldn't get super speed, because you already got teleportation, I take the first two, and I cannot decide between those two. But if I had to decide between those two, I'd say probably move stuff with my mind. Be able to, like, lift stuff up and move it, you know, or people. Or, you know, somebody, like, cut you off in traffic, you just randomly move the car over to the side of the road while they're driving.
So invisibility wouldn't be an option.
I mean, it would be an option. It would be nice.
Well, that's what today's video is about.
I get a superpower and it's going to be invisibility?
No, it's about the invisible man. I want you to think real hard about being invisible, and I want you to see if you can do it.
Okay.
Are you doing it? Well, where'd you go?
I can't tell you. You'll never find me.
Well, obviously it worked, even though you were looking like you were concentrating real hard on taking a dump, not being invisible.
Yeah, well, it turns out in order to turn yourself invisible, you have to drop a deuce. And so that's what happened.
This is Red Hill Cemetery, and we're here to visit the final resting place of the invisible man, Claude Rains. Now, for those of you that might not be familiar with Mr. Rains's back history, he was born in London. Actually, his parents had a lot of children.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I think, one of 12.
Good Lord.
But most of them passed away like in the early childhood years. Now, he was
from malnutrition.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now, he was kind of raised in what you would call like the slums. His dad was into theater, so Claude spent a lot of time there, you know, watching the people perform and how the theater actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, Claude actually had a Cockney accent and a stutter. So that didn't stop him, though. He went on like to pursue like acting.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up moving over to New York for a while and kind of performing there. Now, whenever World War I hit, he went back over to London, you know, to enlist in that.
Right.
And he was participating in that for several years. He actually ended up being involved in some kind of accident where he went blind, mostly blind in one eye.
Mm-hmm.
But he rose to like ranks of like a captain during that whole process. After he was done with his part in the war, he stayed in London and he worked on kind of perfecting his acting skills. Now, he met another guy that was like, okay, basically we need to work on how you talk, you know, because he had that with his speech.
Yeah. Yeah, the accent and the stutter.
So he went on to take lessons, and he learned how to talk differently, which ended up helping him a lot because that's like was his trademark, like was the way he talked.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up moving back over to New York, and, you know, his career is steadily progressing. One day he goes to an audition for a movie, and it tanks. Like, they don't, it wasn't a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
But what did happen was someone heard him through the walls and was like, we want this dude. And he was cast as the Invisible Man.
You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you.
You never
You know,
knew.
one of the Universal monsters.
Yeah. Goes to show you never know who's listening or who's watching. Your hard failure may be seen and somebody else turns it into a success.
Very true.
How do you like that,
He ended up going on and being leads in several other movies and supporting characters. One of those being Casablanca. It's another really popular one he was in.
It doesn't make any difference about our bet. You still owe me 10,000 francs.
And that 10,000 francs should pay our expenses.
Our expenses. Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
But after his career, you know, was kind of coming to an end, he ended up farming.
Huh.
He farmed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. He lived in Pennsylvania for 7 years before he ended up moving to New Hampshire. Now, it was here that he would pass away from abdominal hemorrhage. And he was kind of like a notorious marital person too.
Yeah, he got married a lot.
Yeah,
like
and
6
divorced
times.
a lot.
Yeah.
Married 6, divorced 5. Now, his other wife passed away. This is actually her beside him, Rosemary McGrady Rains. And it even says, the beloved wife of Claude Rains. Now, you'll notice that these headstones, they match, kind of like a bullet shape.
They are pretty cool.
He designed these.
Did he?
Yeah.
They're very unique, like not your normal looking tombstones. All things once are, things forever. Soul once living lives forever. 1889 to 1967. So he died roughly 3 years after she did.
You'll see some people have left little coins down there. It's a little green heart. They have a really quiet, nice area right here. There's not much to the cemetery. I mean, there's not many people buried in here. I'm going to kind of pan around and give you a whole shot of the cemetery.
He was roughly 27 to 28 years older than her. I do like their headstones, though. I want to say it's either a bullet or maybe like the blade of a knife. It's kind of what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Because of how you have, like, on a knife, you have the more flat and then it goes into a sharp edge with a point, almost like a switchblade or something.
I mean, it's kind of funny, you know, like his character being in The Invisible Man. I mean, because in most of the movie, he's covered with bandages anyway, so you don't really see him. So it's that voice that makes the character so much.
Yep.
crazy. Who would have thought that the Invisible Man was buried in this little cemetery?
Yeah,
in
that's
New
crazy.
Hampshire.
Just because of the fact that, you know, not all, but a good majority of actors and actresses, you know, they're buried out in LA, you know, at one of the like 3 big cemeteries out there.
Yeah, like Hollywood Forever Cemetery or one of them. Or
You know,
or a lot of them are like cremated.
or cremated,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's a few like, you know, Chris Farley is not buried out there, you know, because he was given to his family. But most of them that are buried or cremated are out there. And then you have the Invisible Man, like buried in this like tiny little. It's probably not. I'd say really, it's probably only 100 yards long. Probably about the length of a football field and maybe half as wide.
Yeah.
I mean, then Invisible Man's buried here.
I think it's pretty perfect, though, considering, you know, when he started reaching, you know, his older years, it seemed like he wanted to kind of lead like more of a quiet life, like with the farming and stuff. He actually had like pigs and cows, and he grew grain. Claude Rains wouldn't actually move to New Hampshire until he married his 6th wife, Rosemary. Now, he had been to an area called Sandwich, New Hampshire, which is where we're at now. And he fell in love with the place. He had been here to see a friend multiple times, and he loved the quaintness of the town. Now, this right here in front of you, this is the home he purchased for him and Rosemary. Now, he wanted to keep it as close to what it was when he purchased it. The only thing he remodeled was the kitchen, and he changed the ice room into like an art room for Rosemary. And they said that he took great pride in his yard. And you can tell it still looks really good today. It's a beautiful house. The garage way over there, separate from the house. This is the side of it. I mean, it's huge. It's also stated that he really loved books and that he built like ceiling to floor bookshelves for some of his most prized possessions. I bet those bookshelves are massive. I bet you these are some high ceilings in this house.
Well, that does it for the Invisible Man. Shout out to our VIP Road Warrior patron, the Crypt Lady. Thanks for your sponsorship each month. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's short and sweet. They can't all be long. Sometimes you got to throw in a short and sweet one. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it, and let us know what your favorite Claude Rains movie is, or what your favorite Universal monster is. Till next time, catch you down the road to the next exit.
Keep it spooky.
Later.